Welcome to Confidently Visible, the podcast that helps you move through visibility blocks, including fear, resistance, and overwhelm to share life-changing work with the world and grow your business and attract more beautifully aligned clients that rave about your work. I'm your host, Beck Sands, a visibility mentor, a certified life coach, and an award-winning PR consultant based in sunny Newcastle, Australia. Let me guide you on how to show up as your unique self, to share your incredible work, and to grow your audience with more consistency, ease, and flow. Whether you are a consultant, an entrepreneur, a CEO, a coach, or a creative, this is the space to unlock your uniqueness, to grow your audience, and to make a bigger impact, all while feeling good about being seen. The world needs to hear your message. So let's get started. Hi, and welcome to another episode of the Confidently Visible podcast. So excited to be here with you today. I'm going to be chatting through what could be considered a bit of a boring topic, but it is the fundamentals to having a really strong business. So strategy, structure, and repetition. This is what I'm going to be talking through today. And I'm going to be chatting through how I have integrated these into my business to set myself up for success, to set up those really strong foundations in business, and also just so that I am able to expand and grow and not, burn myself out in the process of doing that. So when you've got those, the strategy, the structure, and the repetition in place, you can scale a lot more easily, I should say, than doing things on the fly, than trying to do everything for the first time, for every single client, or trying to connect the dots yourself and do all of the emails and scheduling and invoicing and so on and so forth yourself. So let's talk through that. So today I'm going to chat through a bit of an overview of how my business is set up. So how I work with global brands and national brands as an extension of their in-house marketing teams as a PR consultant. I'm also going to chat through my one-on-one work with women in business to help them to build their personal brands and become confidently visible. And that's, whether they're in growing businesses or growing careers. I do have different services for both. And then a little bit about the foundation of my business. So how it is built on those three elements of strategy, structure, and repetition. And I'm going to dive into exactly how these elements can help you to create a really strong foundation for long-term happy clients. So let's dive into this topic. Firstly, let's talk about strategy. So what even is strategy? Essentially, it is diving into what it is that you're going to do in your business and for your clients, and what it is that you're not going to do. So that is strategy in a nutshell, but there's obviously a lot more components to it, and it depends how big and how deep that you want to go into your strategy. So what I try and do with my clients is to align everyone on what, how, why, and when things are done. So the key components of a really strong strategy are objectives, key messages, tactics, and a timeline. And you can also do other things like audience personas. You can do a deep dive into competitor analysis. You can look at industry trends. You can do surveys. All of this kind of thing can add to your strategy. But for the purpose of what I'm going to be talking about today, let's just talk about the fundamentals. And because I know that a lot of people listening probably have, small businesses, or you're building your own career into leadership positions. And so doing the deep dive onto those strategies doesn't necessarily help you out where you're at right now. So it doesn't have to be a huge thing. Just start where you're at, and you can always evolve and grow as your business grows, as your career grows as well. So let's have a look at objectives. So what is it that you're trying to achieve? Now, when I talk about objectives, I'm talking about PR and personal brand. So what is it that you're wanting to achieve either with the PR that you're doing or with the personal brand that you're creating? And this is one thing that I look at for my clients, whether they're consulting or coaching clients, because we need to figure out what the end goal is with what we're wanting to create, because that will help us to align everything else. So, for example, if you're building a personal brand and like you're wanting to grow a thriving business, then the rest of your strategy might really align with how you're going to get in front of those ideal clients and how you're going to, to essentially get better results in your business. And that might cut out a lot of different activities that you might be spending time on at the moment that aren't really moving the needle forward to where you want to go. The key messages that I talked about. So this is what you're going to be communicating throughout all of your content. So for example, my key messages in my business, I actually look at those kind of content pillars. So I look at my coaching method, which is confidence, strategy, and action, and most of my content will fall under that. And then I've also nutted out like some key messages that I want to be communicating throughout my content. So you want to get into what those are, so that you can make sure that in any interviews or any social media content, in your newsletters, and so on and so forth, that you're nutting those out, and that you are kind of repeating your key messages over and over again in various different ways throughout your communications, so that people can understand what you do and how you support them and your area of expertise, and that you're a thought leader in your field as well. Tactics are essentially what it is that you're going to do. So it's those action steps that you're going to take to get to where you want to go. Tactics could include things like doing podcast outreach, getting in front of your newsletter list once a week. It could be speaking on stages once a quarter. It could be achieving PR coverage or appearing on other people's podcasts, once a month, and so on and so forth. So those are the tactics, and they funnel into your strategy by helping you to achieve what those objectives are. And like objectives are kind of like goals in your business. So it's really looking at where you want to go and what you're wanting to achieve with all of the PR and personal branding activity that you do. Now, having a strategy will help you to ensure that you've got clear expectations and measurable results for the work that you're doing, as opposed to just, going, okay, I'm just going to go and accept that speaking invite, or I'm going to pitch an article, or I'm going to just share some content on social media. Like, you want to know why you're doing all of the actions for. So how does that fit into the bigger picture of your business, of where you're going, of your business growth? And then, of course, your timeline is just when you're going to do everything, because you can't do everything at once. You don't want to have too many things, for example, in one quarter. You want to be able to look at, okay, I'm going to do this once a month, or I'm going to do this launch in June, for example, and then make sure that I don't have anything else that month, so that I can focus 100% on that launch. So you want to look at, the months, and you also want to look at across the year what you've got going on, so that you can plan accordingly and make sure that you don't have too much happening in your business. And the same goes for a career. It's really got to be measurable, and it's got to be realistic. So if you're super busy, it might not be realistic to say that you're going to be able to post on social media every day, or appear on stage every month, or get 5 pieces of media coverage a month. It might look like less. So you want to have a look at that, at what you're wanting to achieve, and build that into your strategy, and then nut it out with those tactics and timelines, so that you know exactly when things are going to happen. And so it doesn't cause overwhelm, because when we get overwhelmed, nothing tends to happen. And then we are like, Now I'm not moving forward at all because it's just all too much, right? Okay, so the second thing that I'm going to dive into is structure. Now, structure is really key to build trust with clients. And when you build trust with clients and you deliver really exceptional results, those clients will want to work with you long term and they'll refer you and rave about you, right, to other people, which is what you absolutely want in your business. So when you set up a structure, it gives both you and them something to expect and something to work from, right? So it helps to manage expectations and then you can over deliver a little bit on those expectations. But when there's no structure in place, it's kind of a little bit like guesswork. You're not quite sure what's happening and when are things, meant to be delivered. It all seems a little bit ad hoc, which can detract from the experience for your client. And it can also feel a little bit more overwhelming for you as a coach, as a consultant, as a professional. Okay, so what some of the structures that I have in my business is when I onboard my one-to-one coaching clients, my coaching and mentoring clients, is that I have a structure that I work with them and systems that I work with them. So they've got a link to book in. Everything is automated. So from putting in their details, from doing a questionnaire to doing a contract and making sure we're both on the same page with what's expected and what they're going to get from the coaching series, all the way through to booking in their time. And they can also, it's all automated if they need to update their time as well. So you can see how it's just a seamless process that when I'm onboarding clients, it's all happening in the background. I don't need to be emailing back and forth to schedule times or anything like that. It's all automated. So I've already put all my availability into my calendar. For my coaching clients, I use Satori, which I really love. And that really has worked for me. I've kind of gone back and forth. I've used, I think, Calendly in the past as well, but it just didn't really quite fit for me. It didn't give me everything that I needed from a platform, whereas Satori will also do the invoicing as well and automate that and send invoice reminders on a monthly or however regular you want to invoice your clients. And so that really works for me and it helps me to have that streamlined. Within the system as well, I also will, of course, set up expectations about how often we meet, what they get out of the coaching series, and then it's all automated so that they can then see that. And it just cultivates that feeling of trust and safety that they know exactly what they're going to get and when and how much access they get to me as well. Now, with my consulting clients, I also do a very similar thing in that when I onboard them, it's not an automated system or anything like that, but I do set up structures and processes that helps to get on the same page and to meet and exceed and manage those expectations. So, for example, I will put in place for my kind of premium retainer clients like a weekly or a fortnightly WIP meeting, which is a work in progress meeting, which I'll also have set up a document with all of the tasks and all of the the objectives and what we're wanting to achieve and when we're going to do it. So there'll be a timeline there. And that'll include things like launch milestones, like things like what news we might be putting out a certain week. It could be if I'm doing a strategy for them, then I'll put into the WIP document the strategy, and so on and so forth. So you can see that we have a shared tracker that we keep everything that's happening visible for both sides so that we know what's coming up and we can move things around if other priorities might come up or as things shift and evolve as well. And then it helps to keep track of the activity that we've done, the results we've done, and so on and so forth across the year. It could include also things like major events, other things happening in the industry, dates, that we need to keep in mind, and so on and so forth. So that is kind of the structure that I have with my consulting clients. So there's weekly or fortnightly meetings where we go through any upcoming priorities. We will discuss, work that's been done, work that's upcoming, what's coming up for them, what they need support from me as well. So that really helps them to feel safe. And it helps us to continually check in so I know what they're working on, I know what's going on for them as well, and I can support them as needed. So you can see that kind of regular contact, that does cultivate that trust and builds that relationship over time and helps us to get the best results possible because that structure is set up and in place to make sure that nothing falls through the cracks, and to make sure that we're having those conversations and we're on the same page and that they're getting the support they need, and also that I'm getting what I need to do my work from them. And then of course I've got my team. So I will have, weekly meetings with my consultant as well, to brief them in on anything coming up. We use Asana for project management as well. So that will really support to keep everything in one place so that there's not like a million emails going around, which I know exactly what that's like. So keeping everything, particularly when it's shared work, in something like Asana for your team is really great way of just keeping it all in one spot. You can assign deadlines. Everyone knows what's going on. You can chat with each other, and it just reduces the email load and keeps it all in one place. You can also upload documents and links and put in briefings and so on and so forth. And my business is completely set up in Google Workspace. For some of my clients, I do have Teams. I've got Microsoft as well. So I do use different tools for different clients, but my business is set up in Google. So I've got everything from Google Calendar set up to the shared documents, which I find is really useful, particularly when you're going back and forth with clients on feedback or, updates, or giving, supporting them with whatever it is they're working on, which could be, it could be like their sales page. It could be, a CV. It could be a cover letter. It could be a media release. It could be a strategy. So whatever it is, that really supports us both to be working from a shared document and to be able to see and track any changes in that space as well. So that really works in terms of systems. Those are the basic kind of systems that I've got set up in my business. But, there are so many more that we don't really have time to dive into today. But systems are so important, and just having that structure so that both you and your client are on the same page, and it just creates for longevity in that relationship. So crystal clear communication with your clients is always so, so good. And the third thing is repetition. So repeating things over and over might sound boring, but having a boring business is having a really solid, strong business. And you don't want to be, it's not necessarily boring. I think that's a bit harsh, but just having those things that are repeated over and over again, it's just so that you get so good at them that it just becomes second nature. So this is the power of repeating what works and refining what doesn't work over and over again. This could be something like an example in my business is when I'm working with my coaching clients, I will, continually refine processes, recommendations, systems, and resources for them based on what I'm seeing come up time and time again, so that I can give them what they need, and I can repeat that for other clients, and it just makes things so much more easeful. My clients get even better value, and it's just a really great way to set yourself up for success in your business. So have a look at what's repeatable in your business. Another example here is not just creating something once and using it once and then letting it go to waste. So for example, this podcast, I can do a blog out of this. I can do numerous social media posts. I can do video. I can do my email newsletter and give value through that. So you can see how, creating that repetition from that one piece of content rather than creating something once and then just having it like go live once and then that's it, So where can you repeat in your business? And that goes for content that you've used in the past as well. So you might want to recycle content and just present it in a new way. Anything that you're working really hard on, because you want everything that you do to be really quality, right? So anything that you're working really hard on, you want to be able to roll that out again and again, and you want to be able to leverage everything that you're doing and repeat it. It goes for your knowledge for online courses as well. So what are you coaching your clients in? What are you supporting your clients in? How can you put that into an online course that's evergreen potentially, or that you even launch a few times a year, that you can get so much more out of that content on repeat rather than just doing it once and then setting and forgetting. All right, so I want to just do a little call to action here before I wrap up. So I want to encourage you to evaluate your business foundations. So do you have a strong strategy? Do you have structure? Do you have repetition in place? I want to suggest taking one step today where you can strengthen a business process. So what can you start to put in place today that will reduce the workload for you, help to create more trust with your clients so that you can work with them long term and drive better results? And ultimately, it's going to be less work for you. So that's less time at the desk, more time doing what you love to do, right? Make sure that you are having a look and just identifying maybe one thing that you can do today to strengthen your business process. I would love for you as well to just share your thoughts with me on what works for you. So do you have a strategy in place? Do you have structure and do you have repetition? Where do you have those in your business? What are your biggest tips? Reach out, let me know on socials. I love to hear from you. So DM me or just tag me in socials and let me know as well. That's all I've got for you today. So thank you so much for listening to today's episode. I hope this has been really useful for you, and have the best day ahead. Thank you for tuning in to Confidently Visible. I hope today's conversation inspired you to show up boldly, to share your unique gifts with courage, and to move through the visibility blocks that are holding you back. If you loved this episode, make sure that you're subscribed to the podcast, leave a rating and a review, and share it with a friend who needs to hear this. And if you're ready to become confidently visible in your business, head over to becksands.com to join my email list and to connect on LinkedIn, Instagram, and Facebook. Until next time, keep showing up as the amazing, unique you that the world needs.